The terror organization Islamic Jihad has launched nearly 1,000 rockets and mortars at Israel from the Gaza Strip in just 3 days. The Israeli military has struck more than 140 Islamic Jihad targets in Gaza, eliminating much of the terrorist senior leadership. During the conflict, Islamic Jihad shot a faulty rocket at Israel, which landed inside of the Gaza Strip, killing 3 Palestinian children and displaying their complete disregard for human life. On the opposite side, Israel repeatedly delayed an airstrike on one of the top terrorist leaders in Gaza because there were innocent Palestinian children playing close to the building. I'm Josiah, and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of fake news and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Welcome back to the show, guys. First off, go ahead and like this video and subscribe. It really helps us out, really helps put out this show to more people. We want as many people to be able to know the truth about Israel and to get accurate news of what's actually happening in Israel. So if you subscribe, we really would appreciate that. Also, click that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the Israel Guys. We're coming to you 3 times a week now, straight from the heartland of Israel here. Also, if you want to come visit Israel, you've maybe wanted to make a trip for a long time or interested in seeing what's happening here, interested in maybe working a little bit, volunteering, check out our volunteer trips. Link is in the description below because the deadline to sign up for our first trips is just in a couple of days. So don't wait. Go ahead and sign up and come to Israel. See it for yourself. See what's actually happening on the ground. Get your hands dirty and fulfill biblical prophecy in the land of Israel. See the Bible come to life. That's what happens when you come to the mountains of Israel and you actually get your hands dirty and you engage and involve yourself directly with what's happening, the amazing things that are happening inside of the land of Israel today. So I encourage you to go check it out. Link is in the description below. I'm sure you guys heard by now what's happening in Israel. You may be a little bit confused by all the different reports coming from Israel and from the mainstream media and from Gaza itself. Rockets flying from Gaza, the IDF striking different targets inside of Gaza. Even there's reports of children being killed in the fighting inside of Gaza. So we're going to give you a little overview of what's happening and some of the stories that are coming out of Israel right now. So Friday afternoon, the IDF targeted Taysir Jabari, who is a senior Palestinian Islamic Jihad officer. So the Palestinian Islamic Jihad terror organization is a terrorist group inside of Gaza, and they're different from Hamas. Hamas is the largest terror group inside of Gaza, but the PIJ, as they call it for short, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, is another terrorist organization operating inside of Gaza. So the IDF targeted the senior Palestinian officer who, according to the IDF, was entrusted to make many decisions in the PIJ organization and carried out anti-tank and anti-missile attacks against Israeli civilians and IDF soldiers. Just recently, he carried out these attacks. He was responsible for a lot of these. The IDF also targeted other PIJ terrorists inside of Gaza, including a squad who were on their way to carry out a terror attack against anti-tank missiles and a sniper attack against Israeli military and civilians. So they took out these guys, kept them from committing this attack, and also gave directly targeted these guys who were responsible for this and these guys who had been responsible for terror attacks in the past. And the Jabari himself was responsible for multiple terror attacks, attempted terror attacks against Israeli civilians and terror attacks themselves. So the IDF knew this guy needed to be taken out, and also they were directly stopping terror attacks from being committed themselves. The IDF published a statement saying that the IDF continues to operate against the Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorist organization with the aim of restoring security to the civilians of the state of Israel. Again, the aim of this operation was to restore security to the civilians of the state of Israel, not necessarily to attack for no reason or not to just take out random people. They were committed to restoring security and eliminating immediate threats against the state of Israel. Now, Friday evening, more than 100 rockets were fired in response from Gaza into civilian population centers in retaliation for these strikes. Interestingly enough, there were over 100 rockets fired, and around only 60 actually entered Israeli territory, and 33 were intercepted by the Iron Dome, which goes to show that many, like 40 or more of these rockets actually fell inside of the Gaza Strip themselves, which endangers and if not injures and endangers the lives of the Palestinian people who live inside of Gaza. So Israel going in to take out these terror hubs and these terror cells inside of Gaza is great, not just for Israel's security, but also the security of the Palestinian people themselves. So Saturday, rockets continued to rain down all day Saturday. The IDF continued their strikes, taking out more terror positions, more weapons facilities, the storage facilities for weapons, and all these hubs for terrorists, including bases inside of the Gaza Strip. Now, Saturday evening, I believe, or no, Saturday afternoon, there was a rocket that there was an explosion in a neighborhood called what was it called, Jabalia, inside the Gaza Strip, and 3 or 4 children were reported killed inside of the Gaza Strip. We'll talk more about that later. But one of the rockets from the Palestinian Islamic Jihad organizations actually fell short and exploded inside of this neighborhood. So Sunday, the Islamic Jihad terror group confirmed that Khalid Mansour, the leader's organization's southern division, the leader of the southern division of this organization, was eliminated by the IDF that night. Meanwhile, the IDF continued to strike terrorists in Gaza, which came following a barrage of rockets that came Saturday night, early Sunday morning, from Gaza. So Israel continued to striking these specific terror targets inside of the Gaza Strip. Also, the IDF found and destroyed an offensive terror tunnel that they were digging from Gaza into Israeli territory as well. Another one of those lethal things that, if not found out, could be devastating for the civilians inside of Israel, were these terror tunnels to actually be used to what their intended purpose was, and to commit terror attacks inside of civilian centers in Israel. Around 8 a.m. Sunday morning, there were 2 rockets that were fired towards Jerusalem, actually, and sirens sounded in the outlying neighborhoods of Jerusalem. 2 explosions were heard in the area because the Iron Dome intercepted both of these rockets, shot them down. No injuries were reported in the attack. Now, actually, I was in Jerusalem myself, and I heard several explosions right around this time. It must have been what I heard. It was in the outlying neighborhoods of Jerusalem, but what I heard was very faint, and I was slightly wondering what they were. I knew that there were rockets coming. I didn't know at the time that the rockets were coming straight for Jerusalem. So, shows you the length and range of the missiles that can be launched from Gaza. And they were intending to strike Jerusalem, the heart of a huge population center inside of Israel. Now, there was another wave of rockets which took place last night around 7:30. More than 50 rockets were shot between 7 and 7:30. 50 rockets, a barrage, that just shot one after another straight into Israeli population centers. Many communities in many cities inside of Israel heard the air raid sirens. Ashkelon, Sderot, even further north, I believe Rishon LeZion heard some sirens, and most of those cities had to run to shelter. And some of the cities, the ones closest to the Gaza border, only have, I believe, 6 seconds to make it to a shelter before the intended rocket hits. And the ones further north have a little bit more time, but still, that's crazy to be constantly running to a bomb shelter, disrupting your daily life to run to save your life from these rockets coming from Gaza. One person was actually lightly injured last night when shrapnel struck a home in a mashav in the Negev region close to Gaza. Thank God the family seemed to have run to the shelter. One person was lightly injured from shrapnel, as I said, but could have been devastating if the family was home and this rocket completely could have killed everybody in the house as well. So thank God that nobody more seriously injured here, and this person seems to be doing okay from this attack. Now, the head of the operations department from the IDF, Major General Oded Basuik, told media on Saturday night that the entire security elite of the Islamic Jihad terror organization has been eliminated. So they were successful in taking out most all of these leaders, the terror leaders inside the Gaza Strip, into completing their intended target, which was to stop and quell this terror organization inside of Gaza. Now, the IDF operations department made a statement which said, quote, "Another very important phenomenon could be seen in the last few hours. The Islamic Jihad fires hundreds of rockets, a significant part of which hits inside the Gaza Strip. According to all the data I have, I see that the attack on Jabalia, I spoke about earlier, is self-inflicted. The organization not only endangers Israeli lives, it also hurts the Palestinians. We will continue and act against the Islamic Jihad as long as we need to. We will not stop until Islamic Jihad stops threatening us. Patience is important. Not everything works smoothly in such operations. So far, the results are good. So the IDF is committed to continuing as long as they need to stop these threats, these terror threats that are threatening the state of Israel and threatening the lives of innocent civilians here in Israel. Now, the attack on Jabalia that this commander spoke about or referred to in his statement here. So Saturday evening, I believe, CNN reported that, quote, Gaza escalation continues into the second day. In one incident Saturday, 4 children were among 7 people killed in an explosion in Jabalia. The Palestinian Health Ministry initially said the blast was caused by an Israeli airstrike. Israel rejected the claim and said the result was a result of errant rocket fire and released a video showing what it said was the Islamic Jihad rocket sharply changing course in the air and hitting the building. I actually saw a video of itself pretty clearly, the rocket shooting off, veering off course and hitting inside of the Gaza Strip itself. And the Associated Press and Reuters also reported a similar story. So CNN's giving you what the health ministry says of Gaza, that it was Israel's fault. They immediately blamed Israel, as they tend to do with most things. This is what happens. This is why you should never believe reports that come from the Palestinian government leaders or the health officials when referring to Israeli airstrikes or Israeli attacks. Should never believe that Israeli civilians were targeted intentionally, because that it never happens in the IDF. You need to wait till you hear more accurate report from the IDF themselves or from other trustworthy sources here in Israel. So an Arab MK, Ahmed Tibi, who's in the Knesset himself, also blamed Israel immediately after this explosion, where 7 people were killed, including 4 children. He said that this is what the U.S. and the U.K. refer to. He tweeted out, "This is what the U.S. and the U.K. refer to as Israel's right to self-defense. 3 or more, quote, dangerous terrorists killed in Gaza now. Clearly today, Israel is a safer place." And he's being sarcastic here, saying that the dangerous terrorists are these children that were killed. So clearly putting the blame on Israel and saying that Israel is targeting these children as if they were dangerous terrorists who were killed in Gaza. Turns out, because the IDF published irrefutable proof, they published a video. It was very clear to everybody that this attack was from Gaza itself, a rocket that was shot off and didn't make it out of Gaza and killed these children. MK Ahmed Tibi deleted his tweet because he realized that he was completely wrong. So rather embarrassing for him, but unfortunately never seems to happen. And they never admit that they were actually wrong. So interestingly enough, so this is what happens when the Palestinians neglect to launch a rocket properly. Like they're targeting civilians. They don't care at all about their own civilians at all. So this is what happens. Innocent life again is taken. But on the flip side, the IDF yesterday afternoon, actually in the there was a video that they published. The IDF, when they were targeting a weapons cache inside of Gaza, they were ready, poised to attack right there. And they ended up calling off and aborting the mission because a Palestinian civilian walked too close to the building that they were targeting. They said, there's a civilian there, we have to wait. And the civilian got too close, ended up getting like right next to the building, and they aborted the mission because they were not willing to sacrifice the Palestinian civilians' lives. Absolutely the right thing to do.
קיבלת בן אדם בתוך ה-60 מטר מתקרב למבנה? בן אדם ב-60 מטר איפה? ממזרח לבית, על הציר, מתקרב למבנה, עוד 10 שניות יחלוף אותו. אנחנו בחדל. חדל קיבלנו.
Again, which goes to show that Israel takes extreme pains and extreme measures to limit civilian casualties inside of Gaza and to avoid them at all costs. Another instance, when the IDF were actually taking out the PIJ leader, Khalid Mansour, I talked about him earlier, they even delayed the mission several times because there were children playing outside of this guy's house, outside of the building where he was located in. And the IDF delayed the mission, endangering their own lives, but delayed the mission several times until the children had moved far enough away where they would not be injured by the strike. So where are we at today? Again, shows the extreme extremes that the IDF goes to protect Israel civilians, not only their own civilians, but also the Palestinian civilians who are not involved in the innocent life there. They're not willing to take out innocent life to take out these terrorists as well. So where are we now? Since the hostilities broke out on Friday, almost 1,000 rockets, more than 950 rockets have been fired by the Islamic Jihad terror organization in the Gaza Strip. The IDF responded with dozens of strikes. I think they struck more than 140 Islamic Jihad targets inside of Gaza. They struck a lot of weapons, of rocket launching sites as well. So to quell that, the rockets will stop coming from Gaza. Egypt was trying to mediate a ceasefire, and they actually succeeded. Ceasefire went into effect as per the head of the National Public Diplomacy Directorate confirmed last night that the ceasefire will take place at 11:30 p.m., and it seems we haven't seen anything since. It's been quiet here in Israel. No more rockets and no more strikes as well. The state of Israel thanks Egypt for its efforts mediating the ceasefire. And again, right before the ceasefire came into effect, another barrage of rockets was fired from Gaza, and the IDF responded accordingly, taking out more targets, terror targets inside of Gaza. That's guys, kind of where we're at today, what's happening, and we'll see in the coming weeks, coming days of what will take place with the tensions that have happened over the last weekend. And thankfully, it seems like this terror organization has been quenched for now and quelled, but we will definitely see in future weeks and future years whether that will rebuild themselves again. So again, don't believe media lies when they tell you that Israel targets innocent civilians. It's not going to be true, and it's never in the case that Israel actually targets civilians. Occasionally, they do accidentally hit civilians, which is extremely hard not to do when you're working inside of densely populated areas. But the Israeli military is extremely precise. Just look at the footage and look at the videos of what happened this weekend. They're very precise in taking out just those who have blood on their hands and those who are responsible for terror attacks and who are threatening the security of the state of Israel. Guys, let us know what you think in the comments below. In the meantime, tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening in the land of Israel. We'll be back every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.